Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has just arrived in the Middle East. This is the fifth time that he's made this trip to the Middle East since the October 7th brutal attack by Hamas when they went invading into Israel, killing and butchering over 1,200 innocent civilians, innocent Jewish people, for no reason, and has caused this entire Middle East to really go up in flames, and it's expanding now. Let me tell you all about that and what's coming out of this as the President of the United States is shifting gears. Let me just say this. At www.pastorpaulgold.com, that's www.pastorpaulgold.com. A lot of folks are worried about their retirement plan, retired about their retirement funds. Is your 401k all rolled into the stock market? Well, you know how that can go. It goes up, it goes down, and sometimes you lose thousands. You're not in control. The best thing to do would be to roll that over, or at least you can have the option to do it, into a gold or silver IRA. Actually, let the Noble Gold people help you with that. Just go to www.pastorpaulgold.com. That's www.pastorpaulgold.com, or call them at 877-646-5347 and tell them Pastor Paul sent you there, okay? Yeah, I want people to have the full knowledge of their options and what they should do. Now, here's the deal. Anthony Blinken just arrived, and he is going to be going to Saudi Arabia. He's going to Qatar. He's going to make his way into Jordan, into Israel, and then while he's in Israel, he'll go over to the West Bank. He's trying to sell the grand bargain, which is what Joe Biden is calling it, a grand bargain. Well, what does that mean? Well, what he means by that is that he wants to bring the conflict, the war between Israel and Hamas, to an end immediately, all hostages to be released, and thousands of prisoners sent back to Gaza from Israel. Also, he wants to, in the grand bargain, he says Saudi Arabia would sign the Abraham Accords and create and be a part of the normalization with the other nations. There's 7 other nations already who have a normalization with Israel. If Saudi Arabia would be willing to do that, it's a game changer in the Middle East and around the world, really. That's part of this deal. But the second part of the deal is that there be a 2-state solution, that Palestine be created, another nation, an independent state by the Palestinians. In other words, parting the land of Israel, cutting it basically in half. All of the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria, and the Gaza Strip would all go to a Palestinian state. The problem with that is there's 1 million Jews that live in Judea and Samaria. And with this deal, they would be living in a different country all of a sudden. They'd be living in Palestine, which they're hated by many of the Arabs. So this would be a major problem. And the third part of his bargain, the grand bargain, is then the United States and its allies, including Saudi Arabia, would start a more aggressive military campaign against Iran's proxies and even Iran, if need be, to try to corner them, to isolate them in the Middle East, which is, I think, a part of the plan that, look, there's no way that you're going to be able to just corner them when they have allies like Russia, China, North Korea. You're not just going to be able to just what, you think those guys are just going to run away? What about Turkey? What about some of the other Arab nations that are allies working with? What about all the Houthis in Yemen? What about all these radical Islamists that are in Iraq, in Syria, and in the surrounding areas? They're just not going to go away because of the signing of a grand bargain. And what about the Palestinian state? Now you're dividing the land of Israel. You're stripping Israel of half of its property and giving it to Israel's enemy, as almost like a reward for the attack that they did on the Jewish people. And I'm not even bringing the Bible into this, but if you want to, in the book of Joel chapter 3, God says, don't part the land. And that there's a prophecy that if the world wants to do this, if the world tries to force this, God said he'll bring the whole world into the valley of Jehoshaphat and plead with the world, don't do this to my nation or to my people, my heritage. And he will plead with the world there. So this is a very serious situation that's about to take place, but it is biblical. We saw it coming for years, and now it is here. So what we're doing, the Joe Biden's grand bargain is nothing more than, really, if he gets to push this forward, fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Meanwhile, the President of the United States made some very choice words in his description of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not going to repeat what those are, but they're not good. This means that this situation between our president and the Prime Minister of Israel, which were supposed to be the closest allies, there's not a good working relationship. But at the end of the day, what will the United Nations do? What will the UN General Assembly do? Will they come together and pass a resolution? Will the United States not veto in the Security Council, but confirm that a vote should be done on the floor of the UN General Assembly to part the land of Israel forcibly and send in troops, peacekeeping troops supposedly, of every different nation to be part of the buffer zone between Israel and this new Palestinian state, a two-state solution. This is what many people have been pushing for years at the United Nations. The only reason it hasn't happened is because, for the most part, the United States and Great Britain have stood in the way. There's 5 permanent council members on the UN Security Council. They're the United States and the United Kingdom. Then there's Russia, China, and France. We already know that Russia and China and France want to do a two-state solution. They're definitely wanted to go for a vote. The UK has usually always stood with Israel, but now even their government has decided that a two-state solution would be more acceptable, leaving only the United States with the veto power to stop this vote from taking place. But the Biden administration has made no bones about it. They're pushing, and they believe the only solution to peace in the Middle East is a two-state solution. I would not be shocked if the United States, under this Biden administration, in the final year of this first term, maybe his only term, in this final year for Biden, if he doesn't make this move, if he may make this move to bring it to a vote at the United Nations, because if President Trump is reelected or elected again, he obviously would shut that down in the Middle East, and the whole military operation would totally change, a whole shift in the Middle East. So we're coming down to a significant moment. And I think that this grand bargain that the President of the United States wants to do may be fulfillment, even though I don't like it, fulfillment of Bible prophecy, driving the world to the moment where God said in Joel chapter 3, he'll bring the world to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which you have to understand, the valley of Jehoshaphat is between the Mount of Olives and the wall of Jerusalem, the eastern wall. He'll bring the world there and plead with them not to do this. We may be going to see that prophetic moment. So give your life to Jesus Christ. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. You'll prosper if you do. Bless Israel. You will be blessed. And follow the laws of God. And if you're not saved, please give your life to Yeshua, to Jesus Christ, the Son of God, because Jesus is coming soon. Will you be ready? You don't want to be left behind. God bless.